Put the evidence that you've got now. Put the evidence from 37 years ago.
That's
Put
right.
it out here for a group of jurors to look at it.
Yeah.
Show them the photographs.
Yeah.
Show them the photographs of that. Let the people that's still living testify of their knowledge of the Johnny Edrington situation.
She's got
the people that know.
She's got a picture up in back of us right now. And the pictures of the newspaper, I'm sure that you and Johnny in some of those photos on the highway. Is that correct? Are you in any of the newspaper photos of that night?
I don't think so.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Johnny may be. I don't.
Somebody has told us the ones in the tennis shoes said they thought that was Jimmy and Johnny in civilian clothes. But
the people, I'm going to tell you something. People that you're talking to,
okay.
I'm going to tell you this.
Okay.
Hate Jimmy and Johnny. And they've got a motive for some reason.
No. This one we talked to, this one, that's what changed. I ain't gonna say changed their mind because we'd never even. But that's what made us start putting in our things that, as far as we know, Jimmy and Johnny's not involved in this whatsoever, as far as any ill will toward Johnny E. And that's one of these troopers that we're talking about that we met with, had dinner with, and brought a photo album of all these. And he bragged on Jimmy and Johnny Phelps like no other. I mean, but he also says when he showed up on the scene that night and he looked down and he seen Johnny, that he knew then that it was not a West Side. Mm-hmm. He said that. I mean, that's his.
And there's other troopers, police officers that say that too. They'll say that, but they don't know the whole thing. I guarantee you, the trooper you talk to don't know any of the stuff I just told you, because they were just the people that worked around here, and he probably didn't work Laurel County, the guy you're talking to. I'm sure he's a good guy, but I'm just saying he doesn't know all the facts that were omitted. He doesn't know it.
Why would they do that, Jimmy? Why would they? I mean, I know you've had 37 years, and I know it's affected you. I can imagine. But why would that?
It's affected us. Listen, this affected us and our children. I had my children come home from school, and other kids would say, your dad was involved in the death and killing the policeman. Yeah. Our kids grew up here.
Why would Jones and the medical, George Nichols, why would these people put their reputation on the line? I mean, I'm just
trying to did.
Okay.
They never faked something from now on and never.
You think insurance was that big a deal to them that they would put their career and their on the line?
I don't think that. I think when the state police went to them and asked them for a favor, now the Dr. Hunsaker he'll tell you that. That's what they did. They went and asked him for a favor. They went over Dr. Hunsaker's head, who did the autopsy. The doctors that signed the death certificate didn't even do the autopsy.
But Jimmy, if you've seen our videos, then you know that Ed Bolin himself took a bullet out of Johnny's head at the funeral home. When the man's scheduled for an autopsy, why would a funeral? It was. Let me ask you this. I know he was the coroner, but was he a physician, Ed Bolin, or do you know?
No, he's a coroner.
Just a coroner, just an elected coroner.
His son's deputy coroner.
Exactly.
He's the coroner now.
But an elected coroner back in the day when and you remember as well as I do, we didn't have vans, we didn't have wagons, we had the hearse. The funeral home would bring a hearse out and put the body in those days, because the coroner that was elected was usually the local funeral director. That's just the way that.
Yeah, and that's the way it is now.
No training, just, I mean, now they've got training. Now because of Nichols and some of them, they require them to go. But, you know, when we're talking about Hunsaker worked for David Jones and he worked for George Nichols. That's the supervisors, just like you work for Asher or I work for different people. If there are supervisors or chiefs or sheriffs, you know, if we do something that they're not sure of or we're correct on, they have the right and the responsibility to step in. I think that's what's going on with the state police right now. I don't think they got no commissioner. I don't think they got no leadership.
Well, the problem with the state police is, I hope you're hearing me on this, they do not want this case open for the public to see the facts.
Okay.
They want this case to remain a homicide. That way it'll go on, and one of these days, years from now, they'll still be saying the Phelps brothers killed him, and it's an open case, and nobody cares. But us, we want this. Listen, we're not under any investigation by the state police, but we're pushing this. I wish you knew how many statements. I've got emails and stuff. I'm trying my best to get this. And we went and met with the state police a while back, me and my brother. We said, will you all please?
Did you meet with Burnett? I
talked to Burnett on the phone.
Okay.
He called me. I left a message for him. He called me. I said, PJ, listen, I've known you a long time. I know you when you was a trooper. Let's open this case up for the public. Let's have a coroner's inquest. Let's put the evidence in the case that was omitted. He said, Jimmy, it'll take a substantial amount of evidence. I said, the evidence is there. If you look at it, he said, I don't know. I've probably not looked at that case in years. It's on the back burner, and they know there's not a murder running loose, and they're not worried about it. The only people that want this solved is us, and we're not looking at being arrested. We know better than that.
No, I think his family. I think his family would like to see it solved because again.
I don't think his family wants the truth.
You've seen the daughter, the ex-wife that said that Johnny had gotten another woman pregnant while he was married to her, when in fact she wasn't pregnant, didn't have a baby till 14 months later.
I think what you meant, he was seeing her.
That was so unfair. That's not what she said, though. She said on our channel and on our, and that's what you say. That's what people read. And I think it's
a lot of people knew Johnny well, and Johnny was a ladies' man.
Well, let me ask you this. Good question, because give me 1 second, because I'm getting old and I lose my train of thought. Was there anything, you know all about it. Was there anything in that car that night that was out of place? See, because we have a little bit of knowledge that people's dropped to us. Was there anything that you can remember that if you was going to do something like that to yourself that you wouldn't have gotten rid of? Was there anything at all in that car that stands out in your mind or your brother's mind that you can remember that would say, hey, what's this doing here?
Something out of place in that car.
Yeah. You would have already understood if you.
This picture's taken of his car, how it was sitting.
Yeah. Inside. This would have been inside the vehicle.
Mm-hmm. On the inside, there's a picture taken of his front seat, his hat.
Going back to this picture behind Sheila and I, he's laying here on the ground. The newspaper took this picture, and the newspaper reporter wrote that his uniform was in disarray and signs of a struggle. But yet, in Asher's book, Asher says that there was no signs of a struggle. Did he have a coat or a raincoat or a coat or a jacket on or anything that would have protected his uniform?
No.
Okay.
Johnny's uniform was his perfect gig line, and you know what I mean by gig
Sure.
line.
Oh, yeah.
His gig line was perfect. His shoes were perfect. If he was struggling for his life, his uniform, those little clip-on ties, the buttons.
Okay. I've been lost a minute.
His uniform, there was no dirt on. He could listen. If I was going to stage that, he should have got down on his knees, got his dirty uniform all dirty. His uniform was perfect.
Well, let me ask you, Jimmy, if he was going to stage, and you're exactly right. Police officers, for insurance purposes themselves, for their families, for their children, or whatever, they do it all the time. They do their own insurance thing. Do we not think that he was smart enough, if he was going to do this to himself, and he's smart enough to turn his takedown lights on, his blue lights, his radar is locked in? Why wouldn't he do that? If it was going to be a S side and he wanted it to appear.
When people that commit suicide aren't thinking rationally.
Well, no, they're not. But
he wasn't thinking totally rationally. I don't think everything he thought out. He didn't think everything out. He may have thought he's had everything planned out, trying to take down lights on, spotlight on, get it.
Possible.
He did it. He did it. As good as he thought he could do it, but he could have done it better. And like I told you a while ago, had he shot himself standing up, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
You don't think the gun would have? You don't think the gun would have come if he's? I don't think he was laying down, but if he was, you don't. Why didn't the gun? Why didn't the?
Wait a minute. Are you telling me you don't think he was on the ground?
No, I don't think he was.
We had pictures.
Okay.
Of him being on the ground in the halo where he shot. Listen, the skull and the brain matter, where he was laying flat on the ground, is all around perfect. It's what they call a halo effect. Dr. Hunsaker will even tell you that. I mean, it was the corner, the corner of everybody's. The investigation was safe.
How did the Mayo and all these other ones justify? Why did this doesn't?
I told you what Mayo said. The Mayo said that he felt like it was a suicide, but since it was a police officer in that situation, he would give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I would do that also. If I would give that a doubt to anybody over, if there's any kind of doubt, I would do that.
If this case were to be presented in front of a coroner's inquest with a bunch of jurors just to rule suicide or homicide, I'll guarantee you they say suicide.
Jimmy, back then in that day, and I'm just being devil's advocate. I'm not trying to be rude with you or mean, because you've been great.
I know that.
But back in that day, especially when you and your brother started getting all these rumors, why didn't you guys file a written complaint? Why didn't you go to the Attorney General of the United States and say, we need the FBI, we need the United States Attorney's Office, we need somebody?
Only a certain group of people take that rumor serious. People that dislike us. Nobody else in the state police ever.
I know, but I would have.
Johnny Phelps.
You guys should have. I would have filed an office complaint. I would have been to news media. I would have gone to everybody, raising Cain, and especially.
The news media that did the story before. That did the story on the segment of Edrington's death a while back.
Yeah, WLEX. Yeah.
I was the one that contacted them to do a story. I've contacted news medias before to do a story. I wanted to get a hold of Fox News to do a story. I wanted to listen. There's nobody pushed this harder than the Phelps family.
Sure,
nobody.
I can understand that.
And the people that want it to be us, they love it like it is.
I understand that.
When I talked to PJ, he said, "Jimmy, nobody believes that." I said, "PJ."
Yeah, they do. Yeah, there's PJ, people out there that believe that.
I said, "There's people out there that do believe that." He said, "But those people," he said, "they don't have a clue what they're talking about." I said, "I know it," but I said, "My family, my kids, my grandkids, I want my family to know that their dad and their uncles had nothing to do with anything like that. They know we didn't, but they don't like the state police leaving it unsolved."
Well, see, you've covered we don't think you did neither. In our opinion, we have nothing whatsoever, and we've looked and talked and thousands of hours on this, so we don't neither. But we also don't think it was an S side. We think that he was. There's too many. Again, we've covered it. Why would he? The reason he was working a different shift, Jim, is because the day before was his father's birthday. He went and spent the day with his father. He traded off with somebody else. That was the reason.
He traded with Donald Ricardo.
Well, that was the reason. The month before in '88, Thanksgiving of '88 is when my buddy Joseph Angelucci, a deputy sheriff, was my roommate in the police academy. Was shot. Yeah, was shot and killed with his own gun in Lexington. Yeah. And then the following month, of course, Johnny Edrington was. And of course, in the beginning, we heard at the academy, I did that, it was a S side and so forth like that. And it wasn't until I read the book and I'm thinking, why didn't this colonel? And he says all the heavies, all the higher ups, but yet he became a higher up after he left Post 11. He was a higher up.
He never did make commissioner.
He didn't make commissioner, but he was high up as Lovett, Jerry Lovett, or John Lyle.
And he tried to get them to change it over the years, and they wouldn't. He tried to get them to change it over the years, and he wouldn't.
Did you know Michael Sapp come back in and done another investigation on it after Asher retired? Did you?
Mike Sapp come in and was doing an investigation on it, but Mike, the good of guys Mike was, he would not put anything about the finances and all that in the case report. He didn't want to hear that. He didn't. Mike wanted his buddy to be if he did, it wasn't self-inflicted. And I understand it. Listen, nobody wants their family members to go out with suicide. Nobody. We didn't want it to happen. If anybody knew that he was going to do something like that, everybody would have done everything they could to stop it.
What about his shirt? What do you know about it? Or do you know anything? See, Asher was taken off the case. You did know that, correct? Did you know that Jack and Patty had filed a complaint and requested that Asher be removed? Now, Asher says in his book they were dear friends of his and so forth. That's as far from the truth as there is. They actually didn't get along, and they didn't want nothing else going through Asher, and Asher sent him a letter of an apology, which we put on one of our videos because he had.
Well, it was probably because Asher was saying suicide and they didn't want to do that.
Well, yeah, but he also didn't put down his military. Said he was never served in the military. Was you in the military?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you was.
Yes.
Okay, so if somebody told you, Fred McCoy says, "Hey, yeah, I was in military also and stuff," that's not something two military guys probably going to forget about each other. Or I don't. I think military is something that's a telltale sign of what a person's like, that they served in their served for their country. Asher evidently forgot that Johnny was in the same United States Army that he was in, because he put under military service that there was none. Why would he do that?
See, that's the first I've ever heard that.
Yeah. He sent him a letter apologizing, spelled his name wrong or didn't put his middle name. There was 3 or 4 things, but now the straw that broke the camel's back, from what we were told, but
they won't.
The shirt is missing.
Straight up on the phone the other day, they wouldn't do it.
Well, the shirt is missing. Yeah, they'll do it. If we get enough national coverage and enough people involved, they'll do it. They'll have no choice but to do it, or look as corrupt as they are, because they are corrupt under this administration. I know that from the Joseph Couch case and the reports I've been reading, and I can't get dealing with that case, much less what they said on the news. And so I know that we're not dealing with a group of people with any integrity.
Listen, you believe it or not, I'm on your side.
Well,
I don't trust the state police, today's state police. And I thought we could trust the state police back in our day, but apparently they did the cover up.
No, I used to think it was just this trooper or that trooper, that it was individual. No, and now I look and I see that it's the thin gray line all the way, buddy. It's
there's so many good guys in the state,
and there are
really work their hearts out.
There are,
and I'm gonna tell you something. There's nobody worked harder than me and my brother, and we've suffered because of it.
Yeah, well, buddy,
we have suffered because of the death of Johnny Edrington for being hardworking troopers, and that's it. And I don't have any apologies to make to anybody. We worked. And we stepped on toes that people didn't appreciate it, and they tried to destroy us and destroy our legacy, and they've done a good job with it.
Yeah.
Because here I am 37 years later trying to explain the Edrington case.
Well, and you are, and we want to eventually, if you don't care, look at the report, look at the pictures, let you prove, we're open-minded. We're not, as of what we've seen so far on.
Right now, there's enough of these pictures. Every detective that was there, everybody knew the cover-up was coming, and everybody kept them because of that. It wasn't because they thought down the road they was going to start accusing us of being involved. That never hit our minds.
Yeah.
That never even hit our minds.
Sure.
When they was covering it up, we thought, well, they're doing this to Johnny Edrington's family to get money, and that's not right. It's not right. Little do we know we're going to be fighting for our reputations the rest of our life when we're here dead and gone.
Well, again, as of right now, Sheila and I don't see nothing that comes back other than rumors, and we ain't the best, we ain't the smartest too, but
I'm not either.
We haven't seen nothing.
And I'll tell you this: my family and I will cooperate with you to the fullest. I can tell you that.
You already have. Just sitting here talking to us is
and you get the state police to do the same, because we went down and talked to the state police and the state police post, and you thought we had the bubonic plague. It's like they just don't want to do it. They don't want to. They just don't want. They say, why do we want to do this after all these years? I said, to tell the truth is why.
Yeah.
That's why it's important. People need to know the truth.
It is important. It is important. The main thing is I'm telling you, I don't think, again, and Sheila and I have talked to many, many, many people, person on the phone, emails, everything else, and we've heard everything in the world, but we have not seen, and we tell them as of right now, there's nothing other than rumors, and it's just like the rumor that was started on Larry. We don't know him from Adam, never talked to him. Yeah, we'd like to. We've seen Stewart's report. We've got a copy of Stewart's report.
You guys want to come down? You all make a time to come down. I'll have Larry Lewis there. I'll have my brother there. I'll have the coroner there. I'll have whoever you want there. I'll get them whoever you want to ask questions to.
Yeah. What about Ronald Lee Bolin? Are you familiar with him?
He's a heathen, man. He is a cold-blooded, calculated Killer.
But you know that this was during the time. He's also on death row with Bob Foley.
Yeah, he didn't do.
Why did they not go and why did they not go interview when Bob Foley put in the newspaper and said that or he wanted to be interviewed or something, and state police, I think it was Stewart, I could be wrong, but I think Stewart said, we're not going to waste our time talking to him. I mean,
you mean on the Edrington case?
On the Edrington case.
Yeah. I believe was probably interviewed, but Ronnie Lee didn't kill him. And I'll tell you, Stewart and them, I'll be honest with you, Stewart and them, everybody knew the truth about the Edrington case. People were tired of chasing a red herring. They knew there was nothing at the end of this investigation but a suicide. Everybody knows it. And if you look at it, Fred, if you come down and, I don't care. People say this, you said something about showing people pictures. Listen,
there's no law. There's no law against showing pictures. No, I've had suicides, everything.
Those pictures, I've taken these pictures to the FBI.
Yeah.
Listen, I've showed them to other police officers.
It's not illegal. I was just asking to see, basically, if you would even say that you did, because
if you
goes
and
to
your
credibility.
wife were talked about, like me and my twin brother being involved in murder, and you had photographs that would flat out show, without a doubt, what it was, you would show them.
Well, I've worked my share in 40 years also, so I can.
I want to show you.
See the photographs.
And I'll be happy to show them to you.
Well, and
I can promise you something else: the state police will never show them to you.
Well, I don't care who shows them to us. I just like to see them and come up with their own conclusion, because I read the report.
I'm just trying to tell you, we want you all to know the truth.
We hadn't brought out about the position or nothing else in none of our videos had we brought out, because we wanted to leave something in case somebody ever confessed to it, that there has to be something that nobody else would know if that's the truth.
We've heard, let me tell you what we heard. We heard that they said there was a PBT and a porn movie stolen from his cruiser.
Okay.
If that's the truth, I have never heard that in my life.
Okay.
Until the rumor was floating around.
Yeah.
I said, a PBT and a porn movie. What a way to kill somebody, steal two things, a PBT and a PBT is. Preliminary breath test.
Of course. Yeah. I'd always let my certification go dead. I've taken probably the BA certification class, I think 5 or 6 times during my term as a police officer.
Oh,
yeah, I'd have to go back and redo the whole 40 hours, but
I know it.
I'd forget to do my research. But yeah, that was you brought up some interesting points, and I'm sure we've got some more questions here. Now, you know we're taping, correct?
I don't care a bit.
I didn't think you did, or I figured you would. I figured when I first called you would either say, well, we're doing a YouTube. We're doing a YouTube video, and that was going to be my line to you, because if you would have said, I'd rather you didn't tape, I was going to say, well, I don't. Hey, let me tell you what happened to me the other day. This was on a different topic. We're on all kinds of things, but this guy, we was on the phone conversating. It was something else, and all of a sudden, about 30 minutes into the conversation, this recording comes on. It says, your call has stopped being recording. You must restart. And this guy says, oh, God, Fred, I'm sorry. I don't know. I said, look at you. You got to record me. And he said, oh, I swear I wasn't. I said, listen, hit record there again. Restart, buddy. I said, this is Fred McCoy. I don't say nothing that I care that I wouldn't back up on. If you never lie, tell the truth. You never have to back up. And I appreciate you.
You could play it to the world, because I can I'd say it on Fox News.
I think it's going to be interesting to people. I will do this for you, though. If you don't want us to, we won't, just because you've been so nice. But I think it's going to show people the other side. I don't know if you're right or wrong. I don't know. We still don't know what we think. We're always going to think until we're proven different that it was a homicide, and you're going to think that it was an S-side. But this was an interesting conversation that anybody that listens to it has got to say, hey, he's got some good points. Now, I'll tell you what I am going to do. I am going to, Sheila will contact Diane, and we're going to try to check and see if we can find some financial, because see, the only financial records we found was about not over $10,000 to his name that he was in debt. And if that's true, that's not something somebody would commit suicide over.
Well, let me say this. Diane don't know all his financial problems.
Well, that was his wife, Jimmy. You think the state police would know his financial more than his wife?
I don't think the state police even know about this. They don't even have this in the report. I'm telling you stuff that we have found out. We know about it. The state police never put this in the report. They didn't want it.
Of course, but it's 30.
But Diane, they had been and when the guy went over to Johnny's house to tell him he's evicted him, and she had the bill, the KU had sent the bill going to disconnect it. Johnny stepped on the porch, so Diane wouldn't hear it.
So you don't think she would know that?
Huh? So I don't think she knew. I don't think she knows all about his financial problems. I don't think she knew that he owed $20,000 in back taxes.
Well, see, that would be something we can.
Other wife. With her, that was with his other wife.
Okay. Well, maybe the other wife could show us something. I know that she's responded before. I wish she would dig up some of those files where we could look and see that there's a $20,000 default there, that he's in debt. That would be great to show us something. Again,
there's an FBI agent just killed himself here. Week before last?
I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar.
Just happened, and they're tracking it down. And I know some agents I've been talking to, and the only thing they can possibly find is maybe financial. The only thing, and that leads to a lot of suicides, and that's the only thing. And that I can think of is Johnny. He just collapsed on the debt. I think I can figure the pressure. He's having to park his. I mean, look at everything I told you. Having to park his cruiser, getting his electric shut off. His telephone was shut off. He's getting evicted from his apartment. I mean, the car that he had to provide to his ex-wife got repoed. I mean, it on and on and on, and it was just. And that's not even mentioning the back federal taxes that he owed.
Yeah, but see, that's again. Now help me out here a little bit, because, like you said just now in your own words, you said just like I told you, and that's what you're doing. You're telling, and you're putting it out there. And but if there's back taxes that's owed, we need to get her. I forget her name. Lisa, is it? Mm-hmm. We need to get Lisa to find, and she's got them stored away somewhere in a storage building. They're filing. Nobody throws nothing away anymore. So it would be nice to see.
37 years ago, I doubt she has.
Oh yeah, I understand why Sheila and I have asked some of the questions we have, not of the Phelpses, but of other people. That's there's some things here that don't add up all the way. What was Asher's relationship with Johnny E?
He was his post commander.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't know if he may have disciplined or something, some disciplinary things. Or,
what would he have disciplined them for? What would he have done if he was this great trooper?
He was a good trooper. I mean, troopers still get disciplined from time to time. I don't know that he did get in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know that he did. If he did, I don't know if Johnny getting in trouble, period, ever. I don't know if Johnny having problems with anybody.
That's what the other troopers have told us, that Johnny E.
I don't know if got along with everybody. Me and him worked UK ball games together and run around together. I mean, he was just a great guy.
Did y'all hang out together? Did you go out to clubs together and stuff? Did you do the stuff like that together, or was it?
No, I mean, we just hung out here in town. His clubs, he went with his wife, Lisa. They hung out in Lexington and stuff. I never go up there with them, stuff like that.
We'll set up something here.
Listen, I ain't got nothing. I'll tell you anything you ask me. If I know it, I'll tell you. If I don't, I'll say I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have no reason to lie about anything.
I understand. My question is what we like to go on, and you would too, as a trooper. You know how that worked. But we'd love to see the back taxes, because if I did, I'd tell you, because I'm pretty straightforward. But you just like the polygraph that was taken in Louisville. Those are things that should have been brought out back in the day.
But the state police has never taken this serious about us.
Yeah.
That's another thing everybody don't understand. When I mentioned it to the state police commissioners before over the years, they don't live down here. They don't even hear it. Right. But I'm just talking about on this Edrington case.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever taken it serious in the state police about the people talking about me and my brother, because the state police knows we're not involved in that. So they never took it serious. So it being ruled a homicide and left open doesn't reflect on them any.
Yeah.
It's just an open homicide of a trooper.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're accusing us, the